What if you could make a cute heart-shaped bag in just a few simple steps? You can! I'll show you how in this easy tutorial for beginners. Hi, it's Christa at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are making this super easy, fast crochet heart bag, perfect for Valentine's or any time of year. You can do it with 2 colors of yarn or just 1 color, whatever you have on hand. Also, if you have a button, you can go ahead and use it, or if you don't have a button, I'll show you how to make one out of yarn. So don't worry about that. You probably have everything you need right at home. It's a great shape for earbuds or notes, or just something you want to leave somebody sweet in your life. And it just closes with a sweet little DIY button that we make together. You could make the strap any length you like. All you need is 2 colors of yarn and a crochet hook. For these super easy crochet heart bags, I use size 4 worsted weight acrylic and a 6mm crochet hook. You don't need very much at all, maybe about 10 grams per bag. You will also need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends, and 2 stitch markers. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. To make your super easy crochet heart bag, we are going to start by making a chain 3 ring, but you are welcome to make a magic ring if you would prefer. But for this tutorial, I'll just do a regular slip knot and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we want to go into that very first chain we made right here and slip stitch, but we're just going to get ourselves situated first. So slide that first chain onto your hook. And you want to form a U shape underneath your hook, just like that. Keep your tail along your work so we can work over it. And holding it open with your finger and thumb, just slip stitch to form a ring. Don't let go. You want to keep holding it open. And chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This counts as your first double crochet. Wrap your yarn and into the center of the ring, right where you're holding it open, 2 double crochets. There is 1 and 2. Now you can let go because those double crochets are holding the center open. So that counts as our first 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the center of the ring, working over your tail, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. If you are an experienced crocheter, you can just keep working ahead. We are doing a 2-round granny to start. Chain 2, and into the center of the ring, working over our tail, 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. If you run out of room, you can grab that starting chain and your last stitches and just slide your stitches back, just pulling out that center ring to give you some more space. You want all of your stitches to be laying down side by side, nice and neatly. So we've done 3 sides of our granny square. Chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring, working over your tail. So 3 more double crochets. If I'm going too slow or too fast, you can hit that gear on the video and slow me down or speed me up. So there's the 4 sides of our granny. We are ready to join. So chain 1, and we're going to make a single crochet into the top of our chain to join. We want 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook. So just pop your hook in, 2 strands on the top of your hook, and make 1 single crochet to join. Now just hold open that space with your finger and thumb, right in the center of those double crochets, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now into the center space, right where we started our chain, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Into the next space, we're going to do a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. There's 2. Here is 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do that exact same thing into each of the next 2 corners. So each of these corner spaces gets a new corner, and corners are 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, all into the same corner space. So there's 3 double crochets, chaining 2, and we want to work right back into that same corner space. We can slide those stitches back to give ourselves some more room for our last set of 3 double crochets into that corner. Like that. We have 1 corner left, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. I'll let you pause the video and just do this corner on your own. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. And I'll meet you when you get to this next space right where we began. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. So I just finished that corner, and now we are right back to where we began. Our chain is right here, and this is the space. We need to just finish off this corner. So we have half of our corner. We have our what counts as 3 double crochets. So into that same corner space, right where we began, 3 double crochets to finish off that very first corner. And we're going to join in the same way, so chain 1 and 1 single crochet into the top of the chain to join, and we want to make sure we have 2 strands on the top of our hook. So just pop your hook into the top of that chain and make 1 single crochet to join. The single crochet helps us end in the center of our corner, so it hides our join. So that finishes the first 2 rows, or our basic granny square start. Now for part 2, we are ready to do the heart. To make your heart, start with a chain 3. That counts as our first double crochet, and I'm just holding that corner space open with my finger and thumb. We want to make 2 double crochets into that same space. There is 1 and 2. Into this next space along the side, 3 double crochets into the space. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, we are going to do 3 half double crochets. So that's wrapping your yarn and taking off all 3 loops, just like that. So 3 half double crochets. And 1 double crochet into the same space. Into this space along the side, we're going to do 11 treble crochets. So for treble crochets, we wrap our yarn twice, and into that space along the side, right there, 11 treble crochets. This is going to be the first top of our heart. So there is 2, 3, 4. You can pause the video and keep making your treble crochets. You want a total of 11. You can push your stitches back. You're eventually going to not be able to do that. It's going to be so many stitches in there. So how you want to be doing it is just put your hook, or when you put your hook into that space, just line your yarn up where you want that stitch to be and bring it back where you want that stitch to be. So right on that edge, and build your stitch. And that will keep all your stitches side by side. So you just keep your yarn in line. So just that next little space over, and do your treble crochet. So pause the video, keep working along. You want to do 11, and how you're going to count them, you're just going to put your finger in on top of that set down below and then just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to keep going until you have 11. So pause the video and I will meet you when you finish those 11 treble crochets. So there's my 11 treble crochets. Now into this corner space, we're just going to make a slip stitch. So slip stitch into the corner space and into the next space along the side, 11 treble crochets. So that is the first half of our heart. We're going to do the exact same thing over here. So wrap your yarn twice, 11 treble crochets into that space. You can pause the video and just work on your 11 treble crochets. And I will meet you back right here when we're both finished our 11 treble crochets. And 11. So just make sure you count those. We don't want to be jumping ahead. So just slide your finger in on top of that set of 3 and then count the stitches above. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Into this corner space, 1 double crochet, 3 half double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space along the side, right down here, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And into the space where we began, right at the bottom of our heart, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So there is our upside down heart. Super cute. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of our chain to join. So we're not going to chain or anything fancy like that. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain to join. So 1 little slip stitch and a chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail. We're going to have to sew this in later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. If you did a chain 3 ring, you can just cut off the center tail if you worked around it as well. If you did a magic ring, just sew in that center tail. And now you want to go ahead and make 1 more of these hearts, but you want to stop right at that slip stitch at the very top. So right after you have finished your first 11 treble crochets, you're going to meet me back right here. We're going to do something a little bit different. So here's my second heart. I've just finished those first 11 treble crochets. And right at the top, we want to do a little loop. So chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now right into the very same space, we're going to slip stitch again. So that makes the latch or the little loop that we're going to use to close our bag. Now you can wrap your yarn twice and finish up your heart. So 11 treble crochets into the space, double crochet and 3 half double crochets into the corner right over here. Into the side, 3 double crochets. Into the last space, 3 double crochets and slip stitch to join, just like we did for this one right here. So pause the video and I will meet you back when your second heart is complete. So there are the 2 hearts. One just has our little latch at the top. We want to sandwich them pretty sides facing out. So your pretty side has this nice little V edge facing up. The back side has a different shape around. So to me, one looks like penne pasta, all nice and cute. The other one looks like a bowl of macaroni. I love both pastas, don't get me wrong, but penne pasta is the pretty side, macaroni is the underside. So just like that. Macaronis together, penne pastas facing out. We just want to line them up like that. And we want to count over 5 stitches from the center. So there is our slip stitch right down in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go into the 6th. You just want to pop a stitch marker into that 6th stitch. And we want to do that on the other side as well. So I'm just going to use the same stitch marker and pin the 6th stitch of both sides together. And I want to do that on the other side as well, just to make sure that it's going to start and finish at the same stitch. So our slip stitch is the short guy. We don't count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This little guy is number 6. And the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is number 6. You could sew in these tails if you want to. I prefer to do them later so I don't disturb what my stitches look like on the edge. So that's why I'm leaving these for now. So now the side with the tab or your little closing latch, that is the front. So we want to be inserting our hook into the front, and we're also going to be putting it into the same pair of stitches where that stitch marker is. Right there. You can take that stitch marker out once your hook is in the same stitches. Now grab whatever color you're going to use for the handle and joining. You could use the same color if you prefer. Put a loop of yarn on your hook. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just leaving it along the back of your work. We're going to need this for sewing our handle later. And chain 1. So this counts as our first single crochet. And you can pop that stitch marker out. Now we're going to line up, just looking at the side of our hearts, we're going to line up our stitches. So we're going to go into the next stitch and the next stitch. So under 4 strands of yarn, or the front and back of both sides. So there's going to be 4 loops on our hook, and we're just going to make 1 single crochet into each pair. That's how we're going to join up our heart. So 1 single crochet. Look for the next pair. 1 single crochet, and look for the next pair. 1 single crochet. So you can pause the video, just take your time working along, 1 single crochet into each pair. If it gets tricky, you can put your hook into the first or the next stitch on the top, open it up and look for the next stitch on the second panel, and that's another way you can line them up, whatever is easier for you. Just to check that we're not missing any stitches. So pause the video, keep working along, 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches all the way along. I'm going to meet you when you get down to this point, because down here can be a little bit tricky. The knots are opposite, or the joins are opposite, and the stitches can be a bit unsure. So I'll meet you when you get down to the point of your heart. So far it looks like that. So cute and pretty. So now when we get close to the bottom, I just hold my tails down along the sides, just ignore them, and work into each stitch. So I'm going to work into the next stitch, and then opening it and looking for the next stitch down below. And I'm just going to keep working along into these stitches at the bottom. I'm going to do 2 into each side. So I'm going to go into this stitch again and into the one after the knot. Can you see that? You can put in an extra 2 stitches at the bottom. So into the stitch of the panel above, and I'm going to go back in to that same stitch on the panel under. Can you see? And now we can go back to doing 1, 1, 1. So the next stitch is our chain. So I'm just going to go into the chain, get that tail out of the way, and into the next stitch under, and 1 single crochet. So as you're working along, don't stress about this bottom part here. Just tell yourself you can do 2 extra stitches to make sure you have enough stitches at the very bottom of your heart. Doesn't exactly matter where. We're just working our way around. So now our stitches line up again. And we can just keep working along, 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches all the way along until you get back up to your stitch marker up here. So you can pause the video, 1 single crochet into each pair, and I'll meet you when you get up to the stitch marker. When you get up to your stitch marker, we want to go into the stitches with that stitch marker. So that's going to be the last place we make our single crochet, or the last place we join our hearts. So just go in and make your last single crochet. And there is our join. You can just check that you like the heart at the bottom or the shape of it. And now we're ready to do the handle. You can do your handle any length you want it to be. Just chain the length. Actually, your chain will be a bit longer than your finished handle because we are working back into the chain. So it shortens up a little bit. Make it longer than you think. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be doing the short handle that goes over a hook or a doorknob or just a really cute little easy bag to hang. So I'm going to chain 30. For a small child size, I chained 120. And for an adult size, probably about 250. 1, 2, 3. So there's my chain 30. Another tip, if you are working on this on a flat surface and making your chain, if you don't lift your bag and if you don't drop your hook and pick it up again or, shift your hands, your chain is not going to be twisted. You can just go straight ahead to join in. And I'll show you 2 different ways to do it. So one way is you just push your hook in to the top of our join where we slip stitched. We can slip stitch to join and then chain 1 to give ourselves a little bit of room. You can check your chain to make sure it's not twisted. But again, if you're working on a flat surface and didn't move anything, it's going to be just fine. And now we can work into our chain. So we're going to work into this back loop right here, the second back loop. The first back loop is a bit hidden. It's a bit hard to find. So just work into that second back loop. And we're just going to slip stitch. So now we're going to slip stitch, 1 slip stitch into each back loop, all the way back up along your chain. Just take your time. This is when you want to pop in a nice podcast or get caught up on a playlist. Just take your time, 1 slip stitch into each back loop, all the way back up along your chain. So you can pause the video, keep working along, 1 slip stitch into each back loop, all the way along, and I'll meet you when you get closer to where we started, right over here. When you get back up to where we started, you want to make sure you go into that last back loop, all the way along. There's 1 more. Like that. So we're right up at the top. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. You always want to do a chain 1 when you finish. That adds a little knot. And you also want to leave a bit of a tail here because we're going to sew in our tail or sew in our handle with this tail. So that's what it looks like so far. Now we're just going to sew in this tail so the handle looks super, super cute. So thread your needle. And now you can look at your handle. You want these V's facing out the same direction. So make sure it's not twisted. You want those V's nice. And now just look where it would be going naturally. It would be going down into the hearts. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put it down into the hearts. Not very far. I just want to attach it nice and strong where it should be. Just onto that same stitch. And I want to do that a few times. These sharp tip needles really help. They go through your stitches instead of around them. So it really sews things in nicely. And then when it's nice and secure, it looks great. Just go ahead and sew in that tail just down along the edge. And we can cut this tail off. Now we can sew in our first tail the same way, just so our handle looks nice and secure at that join. So just lay your handle out and look how it is untwisted, like that. And now we want to attach this handle or this tail, or attach the handle with this tail so that it matches. Just look where it has to be a little bit bent. And work in and out of those stitches. You can look at it on both sides to see how it is. We just want our handle to be nice and straight. When you're happy with how it looks, just go ahead and sew in that tail. You can sew in your other tails as well, and we are ready to put a little button on this side. So what you can do either way, if you want to put a button, you can sew a button onto the back side, just right here, and it can loop over your button. If you don't want to use a button, I will show you how to make your own button out of yarn. So working from the back side, I suppose, the back side of that loop, just pop your hook into that loop and take some yarn. I'm using the same color I use for my handle. You could use a different color. It would be really cute. Bring it back through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail and chain 1. And into the center of that loop, we're going to do 4 half double crochets. So there is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull your hook up to make a bigger loop and take your hook out. We want to look for that very first stitch we did, right there. We're just going to pop our hook in and loop back on your hook, shrink it down, and bring it through. Just like that, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail. We're going to knot these and sew them in as well. So pull your hook up, your yarn through, snug that down to secure. Also pull that center tail. We worked over it a bit, so that's going to shrink up the bottom right here. You can turn your work over and give these a nice double knot. That also helps bring it together to make a little button. So knot it twice, pull super, super hard. Now you can decide if you are going to knot your tails and just cut them off or sew them in. I'm just going to cut mine off, just like that. Now we're going to pop our little button through this space right there. So just push it back and poke it through. Just like that. And now the top of your bag is nice and shut, and you can put anything you want in it at all. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.